Hey guys, what's up? Good day to all of you. So yeah, just like I have promised, we'll be having like a pre-recording or a pre-recorded video about every lessons that we'll have through the entire course. So um, today we're gonna talk about lesson number one, that is association of computing machinery. If you happen to acquire a copy of the course outline, this is lesson number one of module number one, computing fundamentals. So let's start. So ACM stands for Association of Computing Machineries. So first, let's talk about understanding of ACM requirements. Okay. Now, first, what is ACM? ACM, or Association of Computing Machinery, is an international computing society. Along with IEEE, Computer Society, the ACM is like an umbrella. Okay, it's like an umbrella or organization for the scholarly study of computing in the United States. And it was founded in 1947 and is based in New York City. So it's like a society of just like IEEE, it's like a society of all engineers, IT specialists, network administrators, and a lot. Okay, now ACM is organized into more than 170 local chapters and 35 special interest groups, as well as over 500 college and university chapters. It publishes the bi monthly, peer reviewed scientific journal of the ACM. It also publishes a monthly magazine and communications of the ACM. It sponsors numerous annual conferences and presents awards for outstanding technical and professional achievements in many categories. It's like everything that we have today. Let's just say technology, AI, or we normally know it as artificial intelligence, drones, what else? Vaccines. Any kind of thing that is discovered today. It all came out from this what we call research. Okay, and then ACM, it's like the home of all researchers all over the globe, right? So here we present a lot of researchers, various researchers. So we could end up having like a novel idea, could be maybe technology. Okay, now let's talk about IEEE. That's the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, or we say it IEEE. So it is an association of various individuals founded way back in 1963. IEEE helps um, advance global prosperity by promoting engineering, the process of creating, developing, integrating, sharing, and applying knowledge. So it's not just limited with what we normally know when we say engineers. Those folks who does the road works, who does the building works, physical infrastructure. No, it's not like that. Okay. IEEE composes of any kinds of engineers, also IT specialists. Um, if you try to compare um, our kind of living before versus today, they're actually way too different. Okay, and then it all, again, just like what I've said, it all boils down with this research. And thanks to IEEE, or this group of electrical and electronics engineers, IT specialists, you know, all over the world, we all came up with, um, a lot of bright ideas that, you know, um, helps the country, I guess, or the world to move forward, right? Um, you know, who could imagine that we'll have like a drone today? Right? I mean, who could have imagined that we will have like an AI today, right? So again, thanks to the research and for this group of experts who does the research, right? Okay, now let's talk about the ACM bylaws specify the membership requirements. So, um, this again, since this is some kind of organization, so there's like this, requirements for you to get into that, membership. So number one is chapter management. Each ACM general interest chapter must always have a minimum of three officers. So you have the chair, that's the head of the gang, right? It's like the leader, it's like the brawn, you know, or the captain maybe, right? You also have the vice chair. You also have the treasurer, and then actually there are a lot of positions that has to be, you know, yeah, I mean, there has to be, people in these positions. Now, the bylaws received by all chapters contain valuable information as to the individual duties all officers should execute. All amendments to the bylaws must receive approval by the ACM Chief Operating Officer. These approvals must be obtained before any amendment may be distributed for a vote to the members of the chapter. So it's like, let's put it, for example, at school, DNS, right? We have this what we call BOT, or we call it the Board of Trustees. It's composed of a lot of individuals. So you have the college president, you have the board secretary, you have the SSC president, Supreme Student Council president, and many more. Now, before a certain, let's just say, amendment or maybe a rule or a memo will be passed down from the higher level down to the student level, um, it will undergo certain agreement between the people inside the board. Okay, that's the reason why they're called board of trustees. So it exactly works exactly the same way, just like the ACM. So that's what they do. Now, there are also additional requirements. So number one, student chapters must have a faculty sponsor. The sponsor must have ACM professional membership. So question, if you are a student, if you would like to, let's just say, publish like a research or something as per, bio law and requirements in giving or producing like a novel research from a student, there has to be like a sponsor of the faculty. But I'm not really quite sure if that is still applicable for today. But as far as my experience is concerned, when we do research and if we like commit that we are a student, there has to be like like some kind of a accompaniment, like a sponsor, like a coach, something like that. So there has to be this faculty. Now number two, officers of SIG chapters must have both ACM and respective SIG membership. So before we can get into the membership, okay, you need to be, you need to have or you need to fulfill all the requirements. So professional membership includes, aside from the data that will be taken from you, like your name, your address, and stuff like that, there will be like a fee, like professional membership fee, and I guess it happens to most kind of organization when you opt in to join, right? There will be really like a fee for the membership. Now, um, number two, chapter members. In addition to the chapter officers, chapters must consist of chapter members to be considered active and viable by the ACM. So again, for us to say that a certain chapter or a certain group is viable or functional, there has to be members. It will be like pretty much useless if you don't have the people within you or inside you, right? Now, chapters must have a minimum of 10 members. That's the requirement. Okay, the non-officer members are not required to have ACM membership. So, if you are a member and if you don't have like the position, or if you're not an officer, you're not basically required to have that ACM membership. Okay, but ACM must be notified of all active chapter members by adding them through the chapter's web account. Chapters that fail to meet the minimum membership requirement jeopardize their status with the association. So it's like a team, right? So you guys has to meet and pass all the required documents. The processes has to be done accordingly. So um, the team will be good. Now let's talk about research and applications of information technology. You know what? Actually, there's a lot, right? But we have just came up with four major things to where IT were applied. So we have the gaming, we have the environment, sociology, and biology. Okay. So first, let's talk about gaming. Okay. That's what's the name of the robot? No, not really sure about the name, but it's cute, right? So let's talk about gaming. The focus of higher education institutions is the preparation of future professionals, which is you, right? There's a reason why there's like researchers, and at the same time we are trying to like innovate the kind of learning we have, especially for computing courses like BSIT and BSIS. Okay, now to achieve this aim, innovative teaching methods are often deployed, including games and simulations, which form the subject of this paper. Now, as the field of the digital games and simulations is ever maturing, this paper attempts to systematically review the literature relevant to games and simulations pedagogy in higher education. Um, Way back during my time, I actually saw the this kind of evolution of the proposed systems. When I say proposed systems, each individual or a group, when you reach the fourth year of your course, you guys will have this. Well, we know what we or what should you know is what we call a capstone project. And then what we do is every year we think of something that is novel and something that is innovative. Okay, way back during my time, we were actually tasked to like create a system. It's like it's like a conversion of a typical process into game. So what we did was we converted a subject, and then we have innovated it in the form of a game. So the learning will become what will become digital. Will become innovative. Okay, and then as of right now, we are still pushing and pursuing the learning when it comes to gaming. It is because we actually, you know, I guess you would agree that there's room for you know improvement when it comes to everything, right? And then gaming is, I would say, what most people do as of today, right? So here in the institution, we don't see gaming as the normal, typical gaming like you hold the phone or the PC and then you play. No, no, it's not like that. Our focus here is to develop something that will contribute to the future of gaming. Okay, now let's talk about the second one. Is the environment. Um, so we have the database on environment system. Understanding the meaning of database is super easy and straightforward. It is a collection of connected data on some subjects. It comes in a computerized form, and you can retrieve the data at any hour of the day whenever needed. Now, the information of database can easily extract in a computer. Um, there are actually, a few types of um, information systems or systems that were applied in the field of environment. So let's talk about number one. That's the NMIS, or we call it the National Management Information System. Okay. Now, according to NMIS, the Department of Science and Technology, that's DOST, okay, it can understand that it has a database compilation that based on research and development projects, as well as information that is related to the research scientists and personnel are included. Okay, so it's like the profiling of all researchers and personals that are part of the Department of Science and Technology. So you might be wondering why, how how their data are being stored. It was all because of this, right? It's not just like a simple profiling because it has a lot of functions. Okay, but we were gonna talk about that on the next few lessons that we'll have. Now let's talk about number two. That's Environmental Information Systems, or NVIS. According to the Ministry of Environment and Forests, the government of India has developed an information system known as Ecological Information System, or NVIS. Now, the centers of NVIS implement the work hours and generating a new network for databases in areas such as clean technologies, pollution control, biodiversity, wildlife, environmental management, remote sensing, and renewable energy. You might not think of these things as of now. You might also think that this actually doesn't really matter at all. But have you ever thought why people in the environmental section, let's just say DENR, or any organization that deals with you know um, life, right? Like animals, right? Well, I mean, have you ever thought why do they know the number of animals that are living as of today? Why do they know that this kind of species is um, what is it's almost dying, right? Like there are less population with this kind of animal, this kind of plant, right? Now, uh, yeah, it's all because of the data acquired are being stored in a certain kind of system. This is, yeah, the environmental information system. This is a very broad kind of system, and the data is being stored here and being interpreted. So we would know the numbers, the actual figures. I mean, not unless if you are up and going out and then counting the number of elephants, zebras, scorpion, snakes, and all that stuff, right? So we just come into gathering the data and analyzing the statistics. That's how you know that's how it does. Now, we also have the remote sensing and geographical information system we normally know as GIS. The process of remote sensing that assesses through satellites can be used to get through the ongoing alterations in the environment, as well as to predict the natural hazards before time, such as floods, droughts, volcanic eruptions, starvation, and etc. It is one of the most useful techniques in exploring the availability of mineral deposits, crude oil, and locating other geothermal powerhouses. I'll give you one good example of GIS. Now, let's just say you go to a certain place, let's just say Switzerland. No, that's way too far. Let's just say you wanted to go to Palawan, okay? And then, of course, it's your first time to go there, and then you don't have any idea, where to eat, where to stay, where to buy this, where to buy that, right? That's the problem. Now, all you just have is your mouth, and then, yeah, of course, you can't live if you can't ask people, right? But what's more is, if you have a phone that works with Google Maps, okay, you might be wondering why that certain device on your hand knows your location precisely, and at the same time, it will give you, the directions to where, let's just say, you wanted to buy drinks, or you wanted to find like the nearest 7-Eleven. Okay, so basically, you'll just go ahead and fetch that data from the GIS because Google Maps uses GIS. Okay, so it gives you the direction, the map to where is the nearest at 7-Eleven, and that's through the help of satellite. So actually, there's a lot of applications that uses GIS. You have Facebook. Um, you have like Food Panda. the one that e-commerce uses for Lazada and Shopee. Okay, so that sums up the remote sensing and geographical information system. Okay, that's number four. Now, we also have this, what we normally um, see on the search engines, browsers, is triple W, right? So it's triple W, that means World Wide Web. Okay, with the availability of resource on every aspect, things like classroom activities and digital files and photos, web exercises, animations, PowerPoint lecture power presentations, and quiz competitions have proved to be more helpful for both the students as well as the teachers who pursue environmental studies. Okay, to make it simple, um, when you say web, okay, it's like storage of a room. It's like a storage of the book, or some books, or we call it the data, right? Now think of the DNSA library. Think of that as a web. Okay, so there we put the books, learning materials, and any kinds of you know data that will help us learn something, right? Apparently, the DNSA library is just solely exclusive for DNSA people, right? The students and the teacher inside the Davao del Norte State College. Now, if we, increase the scope of the DNSA library and make it like, you know, worldwide when it comes to its scope, and then that's what you call a worldwide library. Now, on the other hand, we have this huge, you know, repository or data storage all over the globe. We call that the web. And since it can be accessible worldwide wherever you are, it's the reason why it's called World Wide Web. It's like Facebook. You might be wondering why. Um, why my data is still up here, or maybe where really is my data, like my primary photo, my name, my address, my school, my post. Okay, you know what is not really stored here in the Philippines. Mark Zuckerberg has the data, or the database of it, outside the Philippines, and then with the help of ISP, or the Internet Service Provider, here, PLDT, we have PLDT is one of the main internet service providers. So through them, we can fetch that data from far away. Okay. So again, that data that you are trying to fetch is stored on the World Wide Web. It's the reason why sometimes when you go into the website, and then there has this like prefix that starts with triple W, because that certain website is part of the World Wide Web. Okay. Now let's talk about sociology. Now, the diffusion of the internet combined with advances in basic computing and communications technologies is poised to fundamentally alter the nature of information technology research, as it continues to move from the relatively simple realm of back office transaction processing and personal productivity enhancement tools into less specialized mass market contexts that support electronic commerce, or e-commerce, right? Delivery of government services and personal interactions. The set of problems that motivates IT research is continuing to change, and that is the reason why constant thing. Yeah, this just like what they say, constant thing. This world has changed. Well, what we opt to change is the technologies. The reason why we keep on evolving, right? Now, also IT reach or contributes a lot when it comes to the field of biology, right? The advent of computer and information technology thereafter has been making such conspicuously remarkable changes in every aspect of life that is important, cannot be over accentuated. Now, biological sciences are not an exception in the profit made from IT, right? Because they have actually, or they were, I mean, I would say, if you try to put it in a pie graph, they are one of the beneficiaries when it comes to information technology and technological advancement. This study aims to investigate the impact of IT in biological sciences. Now, descriptive library based research shows that information technology played three following impacts in biological sciences. One, IT makes a great evolution in remote education. That's true. Two, IT leads to a remarkable improvement in biological simulation and modeling. Um, you know, if you just happen to visit like inside the ER or emergency room, or maybe an OB-GYN room to where you could see, these huge machines that we use to, do like a human test. For example, you want to do like the X-ray thing. Okay, you might be wondering why, with that kind of device, why the data is being, transferred to the monitor or to the computer and it's being interpreted, right? It's with the help of the information technology. So it's like the hardware, and then it's being interpreted with with the program, and it's being converted to um, the information that we need, right? And then and finally, information technology makes visible in laboratory studies. So most equipments there are, I would say, revamped with the help of information technology. Now, guys, let's talk about computing industry and computing profession. Okay, I understand that most of you guys didn't come from the ICT strand, right? Um, I guess only a few of you came from ICT, so I guess most of you came from UMS or TVEL. I'm not really quite sure about the senior high strand, but I wanted to somehow give you an idea what's like, what's the future like in the computing industry. Okay, actually I have like enlisted like 10. This is from the lowest earning up to the highest earning. Okay, again, from the lowest earning to the highest earning, but this was way back 2015, so I could not really say what is the update as of today, 2020. um, but there's one thing I could say: computing industry, or folks that works in the computing industry, earns a lot, right? Because again, IT supports the development of of a lot of things, right? It's the reason why you know we are evolving today. Okay, so let's talk about computing industry and computing profession. Now, the tech industry is one of the highest paying fields today. This was way back 2015, but I guess even up until this day, 5 years later, still be one of the highest paying fields, even as of like today. Okay, but which positions make more money than the other? Here's a breakdown of 10 best paying IT jobs in the Philippines in 2015. So let's have number one. That's the e-commerce strategy manager. It's pretty much explainable from the title itself. Now, the average salary costs 80,000 pesos per month. Now, what they do, they oversee implementation of e-commerce strategies according to key objectives and manages e-commerce staff. So, yeah, since he or she is the manager, he needs to like act and think of something that could, you know, make the market or make their market earn more. Um, I'll give you a very good example. Okay, why do you think most of some people, they keep on buying from e-commerce store like Shopee or Lazada, right? Because most of us guys get enticed us with how the item looks like. It's pretty much gorgeous, right? And then it was it was originally from an idea of making it more attractive, Okay. Now that's the job of an e-commerce strategy manager, is to develop some kind of a strategy to make, to make one thing in particular saleable, right? Again, it's to earn money, right? Now number two, you have the hold up. So you have the quality assurance manager. We call it sometimes QA, but QA has the QA. They also have their manager. We call it the quality assurance manager, the QA manager. Their average salary is 82,000 passes. Now, what they do, they ensure that the product or software is working the way it's supposed to be by performing analytical tests. Before a certain item gets deployed, um, yeah, before certain item gets deployed, it always undergo with testing, okay, and that's the job of quality assurance people, or especially with the QA manager, right? Because they don't just deploy an item that easily, okay. Of course, they need to assess if this item will help them gain more money, right? Of course, you can't just put something down to the market if that will give you bad feedback, right? Especially if it won't make you more money, right? You know what I'm saying, right? Okay, thank you. Now, you also have the project manager. Average salary, that's 83,912. It coordinates the efforts of a team in order to design and finish an IT project, software, or product. He is like the captain of the group of an IT people, right? So when it comes to making, designing, developing a complex system, it is not just an effort of one people or one IT professional, right? It's an effort of a team. You have like the programmer, the designer, systems analyst, database manager, a lot of functions, right? But all of them reports to one single person. We call it the project manager. This guy, you know, coordinates the effort and plans the strategy on how a certain system should be done. Number four, you have the IT operations manager. Now, the average salary is 93,800. Now, what they do is they oversee a company's technology infrastructure and ensures that the infrastructure is running efficiently. We're not talking about the physical infrastructure like the building itself. We're talking about the IT infrastructure, like how the computers are doing. Is the network stabilized? Is the internet connection good? Are the hardwares okay, still functional? Yeah, of course. This guy has his staff, right? So I'll give you an example. Way back in my previous job, when I worked in the BPL industry, um, we have this IT operations manager. Like it's like he is in charge of overall IT thing inside the building, right? So, for example, if a certain computer malfunctions, what he does is he assigns one of his personnel to go look at that particular computer and see if it can be fixed. Sometimes, if the internet connection is down, he is also the one who's in charge with that, right? So he's like the manager when it comes to the IT overall. Okay, the IT operations inside the building. Now, number five, we have data warehousing specialist. Average salary cost 115,000. So what they do, they provide troubleshooting support, prepare technical documentation for data warehouses, and verify the quality of warehouse data. Yeah, from the word itself, what they do is, you know, um, difference between data and information. Data are raw, while information are processed data, right? So when things are trying to get into the warehouse, okay, of course, consider data as your stuff, right? It has to be organized, and it's the job of the data warehouse specialist, right? So they do the troubleshooting if there's some error with the data getting into the warehouse or into the system. They sometimes prepare technical documentation, and also they need to verify the quality of the warehouse data. Like, those things are trying to get into the system, it has to be fixed. Okay. Now, number six, you have the Chief Information Technology Officer. Average salary, that's 133,333. So what they do, they administer efficient database platforms and associated systems to help a company meet its goals while also providing technical support to other information systems teams. Also provides database administration and is responsible for keeping the IT systems up to date and introduces new technology in a company's information technology strategies. This guy is like he's like the leader of the leaders, right? It's the reason why it's called CI. Sometimes we call him CIO, okay, or CITO or CEO, but CEO is different. CEO is like the bosses of the bosses, right? Like right next to the owner. When you say Chief Information Technology Officer, it's the every manager on every department for the IT reports to him. Okay, so that's what they do. Now, you have also the information services consultant. Um, this guy earns roughly 150,000 pesos. So what they do, they offers professional advice to clients on how to use information technology on how in order to meet business goals. So they are also in charge of improving the structure and efficiency of IT systems in a company. So per se, if you are like a businessman and then you wanted to like, make your business more efficient, and then you're thinking of, you know, I mean, innovating it by or with the help of IT. So, if you doesn't really know, think about what to do regarding, automating the process. You need to, you know, ask for some help from an IS or an IT service consultant. So, you just need to talk about, how can you make your process more efficient, right? If you can make an application for the customers to do some easy purchase, right, or easy booking, something like that, right? So again, information services consultant should know a lot of things on how to improve the business. More likely, for the BSI students you know, will end up becoming an information services consultant or systems analyst. That's what you guys do. Okay, you should know how to, provide a solution to a certain problem in the business with the help of IT or IS. Now, security manager number eight, this 183,333. So what they do, from the title itself, they constantly test the reliability of information security systems and provides intervention for potential security risks concerning data theft and security breaches. So, for example, a certain website, let's just say a government website, or okay, hold on, let's just think of a different one. Maybe a bank website. So when you say bank, right, next word that comes to your mind is money, right? So you might be thinking why, when you do transaction like deposit or withdraw an amount, you might be wondering why it is safe, right? But and then with with the use of technology, you might be wondering why your amount or the money that you are trying to deposit or withdraw is still safe, right? Now it's being guarded or actually I would say protected by a security department, particularly in IT, right? So they create like a very good security onto the system, so hackers won't just or any data theft guys can just breach the system itself, because if that happens, you know maybe you will stop rather depositing your earnings to a certain bank, right? But thank goodness these guys are really good, so we will feel comfortable in thinking that our money is good. Number nine, you have the enterprise infrastructure manager that sums up to 200,000 is the average salary. So manages information system infrastructure projects and oversees and ensures that the procedures are followed during the implementation of the said projects. Also monitors the systems to ensure high level of performance and availability. So this guy works actually, it's like this guy doesn't just work with a single business, certain company. Okay, he works in the bigger perspective. It's the reason why this guy needs to monitor the systems, and he needs to ensure that the level of performance is there, and also its availability. So it's like the bosses of the bosses with a greater perspective. Now, number 10, you have the software architect. This 330,000 pesos. What they do, very simple. In charge of creation and design of complex software applications. You think of an architect, right? Before you can build a house, it has to come up with a plan, right? And that plan is being done by an architect. And then the architect passes it to the engineers who builds the physical building, right? Now, on the other hand, in the world of IT, we have the software architect. You can't just create an application the way you want it. But when you think of something that's complex, right, something that's really hard, something that works all over the world, okay, there is this what we call software architect. They create a very good idea about softwares that are being uploaded and then being used by people nowadays, right? But I guess there's no need for you to become like to have this kind of title because we have a lot of open sources. You can create an application of your own. One guy, let's just say Mark Zuckerberg and his fellas, you know, created and then planned Facebook really well. So you can consider them as a software architect as they are, or he is like the person in charge for the overall structure of Facebook, right? So I guess that sums up our lesson for today. I would like to say thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned something. And then when it comes to your journey, I hope I was able to somehow give you an idea on how you guys will end up someday after you graduate here from this college. So I guess I'll see you on the next lesson. Thank you so much, and you have a very good day.